We can kind of make sense from Pali as well. So it will help me to learn Pali as I'm chanting in Pali, and also for us to engage in a conversation, catching some words as we go. So let me begin with verse 6. Yasantarato nasanti kopa iti bhavatancha viti vatto so bhikkhu jahati or parang urago jinna mivatta chang puranang. He who bears no grudges in his heart, transcending all this, thus and otherwise, such a monk gives up the here and the beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. So, antarato yassa, of someone internally, nasanti, there isn't kopa, any gushing feelings full of aversion. Iti bhava abhava vitivatto. So transcending thus and otherwise. So thus and otherwise refer to uh, existing in this world or existing in a different realm, which is a major concern for Buddhist practitioners, for monks, for who are committed to the path. They are aware, there is this understanding that it is possible for us to exist in some form of existence after death. And you can also wish to be born again and again as a human being, so living in this human experience like in a loop, like you are in a loop, or you may go to a realm like a heavenly realm and continue to enjoy the pleasures, heavenly pleasures, for as long as it lasts, and come back and continue enjoying a human life and accumulate much merits and go back to heaven. There are people like that. They are born here to make more merits so they can go back to their heavenly pleasures. So, this is a continuous process. Either in this world or a different world, there's a possibility for us to exist. If you think of your own experience, you will be telling me that you don't want to go to school again, you don't want to go to work again, you just want to be smart without studying, to have money without working, eat without getting fat. This will be your wishes, main wishes you have. And to be healthy, without getting sick. Primarily, human beings have these primary wishes in their mind. Whether or not they accomplish those, that is a different question, right? So that's, and then verse 6, line 3 says, transcending this existence and the existence somewhere else, that kind of a monk gives up here and the beyond. So, here and the beyond refers to that same existence here and existing afterwards. Just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin, the serpent has a revulsion towards its old skin. It doesn't want to stay with it, it wants to let go of it and stay with the new skin. So the serpent circles around the thick wood to get rid of it, goes through hard surfaces to get rid of that skin, and it feels disgusted about the old skin. And this kind of same impulse is recommended, is how a monk would let go the here and the beyond. That is verse. We read the verse 7. Yassa vitakka vidhupita adhyatang suvikappita asesa so bhikkhu jahati or parang urago jinna nivattachang puranang. So he who has burned out his evil thoughts, entirely cut them off within his heart, such a monk gives up the here and the beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. So here this is talking about vitakkas. Vitakkas meaning the thoughts, and vidhupita. These thoughts are evil thoughts, vidhupita thoughts, corrupted. Yasa here refers to he who adhyattam suvikappita asesa. Asesa here means remainderlessly, suvikappita, completely cut them off, adhyattam, internally. So entirely cut them off within his heart. Evil thoughts is a burden to have. It is a burden to have these evil thoughts. It is stressful. You're wishing somebody to be otherwise, you're wishing like things be differently about somebody, and you want to have something bad happen to them, or you don't really think that way, but that thought comes, and that is a moment where you feel dismayed, corrupted, impure, unhealthy, awkward, discomfort in your being. Why is that? That is because your mind creates that experience and pulls you towards that direction. It's very tiring, exhausting, it's energy consuming, but you stay there. Sometimes you get attached to suffer. People are attached to suffering. Between couples, the wife would pretend to be sick just to get the attention of the husband would do the same, or they pretend to like cry to get more attention, and then they actually cry, and they pretend to feel fallen or wanting the attention. Like pet owners, sometimes they have a dog, they want to see what their dog is doing, so they kind of fake a fall and they stay fallen. So and sometimes if it is a cat, the cat completely ignores and comes and rolls over your body. Dogs will be a little more sensitive and they will pay attention to you, but it depends. You can't expect much from animals. You can't even expect more from human beings. So people live in these walls built by not Trump, but by your own mind. Your own mind builds these walls. Any questions on that? So just like giving, letting go of the worn out skin, you let go of that tendency. And immediately you feel relieved. You are the first person to be benefited from it. So your thoughts are welcome. Let's continue. Yo nachasari napachasari sabbang acca gama imang papanchang So bhikkhu jahati ora parang urago jinnamivattachang puranang. So nachasari napachasari, he who neither goes too far nor lags behind. What does that mean? So this is referring to the two extremes, the self-mortification, Atta Kilamatanu Yoga, and lagging behind is indulging in sensual pleasures. Now, you know that Siddhartha Gautama, as the Bodhisattva, spent 6 years engaging in hard self mortification. And it occurred to me recently, and you can give me more thoughts about it, that he was smart, but still he did spend 6 years in it, and there could be a reason behind that. That is because he may have felt, because of his strong meditation skills, that it was working, that he felt that this works. And anybody who feels that way would not stop midway, even if they were experimenting with something, science, in science labs. If it feels like the process that works, then they would continue experimenting. Just like I feel like he felt like it worked for him, and that is why he stayed spending all those years. And ultimately, he went to the end of it. And then he realized no other human can ever go any further beyond what I have accomplished in self mortification. So this is a dead end. So going too far or lagging behind refers to the two extremes, antas. This end or that this anta or that anta. Atta Kilamatana Yoga is one end, the Kama Sukhallikana Yoga is the other end. So then it says, entirely transcending the diffuseness. The word for that, diffuseness, is papanchang, of the world. So vastly spreading is the nature of papancha. That is um, also a process. Yang vitakketi, what one thinks, uh, tang papancheti, that one proliferates. This is what you find in the Majjhima Nikaya Madhupindika Sutta, the honey bowl discourse. So what one thinks, you multiply it, think more about it, and think more about it. Continue thinking, and that you expect things to be in a certain way, when in reality it's not happening that way. It is just the illusion that the mind has created. Entirely transcending that spread like algae, like thing that happens in the mind, overtaking your experience, that kind of a monk gives up the here and the beyond, just as a serpent shedding its worn out skin. Number 9. So that sentence seems to repeat, Yo nachasari na pachasari sabbang vitatha midanti nyatva loke so bhikkhu jahati ora parang urago jinnamivatta chang puranang. He who neither goes too far nor lags behind and knows about the world, this is all unreal. Vitata midanti nyatva loke. This world is unreal. It's a lie. Such a monk gives up here and beyond just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. So you see, in number 9, you have a sentence repeated from number 8. He who neither goes too far nor lags behind. So you are in the middle path. And now you realize that this world is a fake one. The mind made experience is a fake one. And when a wise person sees that and it comes back to their experience again and again, kind of inviting them to see beyond. Like I mentioned in the meditation, that you can see without eyes, you can hear without ears. So these are divine states that you can develop within this human experience. But for you to go that far, you need to be in the middle path, and you also need to be able to understand the fakeness, the unrealness in this experience as a human being. So we have up to 17 to go. So number 10, the difference is greedless he knows. Vita lobo, that's the only one word that you need to catch in number 10. Vita lobo, greedless. Vita refers to abandoning of greed. So when you have greed, there is a reason for you to stay attached to. People wanting to see their grandchildren, that's not a bad thing. But that if that doesn't happen, if you had a strong desire, your mind pulls you towards that direction, and you are trapped in it. So this kind of combines with the experience of people coming to be possessed by people who had unfulfilled desires. And if someone who is skilled questions that kind of a person, they reveal, like 10, 12 years ago, they existed as a human being within this family, and they died, their wishes unfulfilled, so they still stay roaming, wanting their desires fulfilled. For them, in their experience, it is just 1, 2 hours, or it could have been like 100 years back they passed away, but it to them feels like 1, 2 hours in their life. But for human beings within that family uh, cluster, for them, that kind of death happened like hundreds of years ago, so they have almost forgotten it. But that person who died may tend to exist in some form because of their attachment, the greed. That's why we call in Sinhala, for someone who eats something like with attachment, it's like pretya, pretya, we say that word, like a preta person, someone who has strong greed towards something. Don't eat like a perete. This is very much saying like don't eat too greedy, too attached. Let's go to the next one. So this also is like earlier we had Vita Lobo, and here we have Vita Rago, lust free. So greed and also lust, sensual desire uh, which which puts people in trouble. So I can share a story about this rishi, the sage, who travels by air because he developed his mind to that level. And he was visiting with the invitation of a king to come have a meal in the king's palace. And this sage has been doing it regularly. So the palace is not an unusual place for him. But one day, this king had a trip outside of his kingdom. He told his chief consort, the queen, to prepare the meal and offer it to the sage. The, the sage came and where the meal was, he was, well, it was getting late for him to come, and the queen was feeling little warm in her body, so she decided to kind of put on very light, very fine clothes and just have a nap until the sage showed up. And he did show up, and the first thing he saw was that queen uh, and her body under the very light clothes. So the sensual desire arose in him. And the man who came in air could not bring back his psychic abilities. So as he was leaving, he left by foot. And the sage and the queen eventually bonded. And the sage broke his celibacy because of the queen, but he never tells lies. And this became a news for those people who lived as servants in the palace. The king returned, and the news went to him. Actually, he finished the war and he returned, and this news came to him, and he asked the queen, and the queen said yes. She knew that this would mean death to her, but she also spoke the truth. But the king still did not believe her, went to the sage, to his ashram, to his monastery, and asked, had a chat and finally asked this question. And he also admitted doing that. And the king told him that if such a person with such abilities, with such virtues, if that happens to you, then what is it about us? So the sage felt very embarrassed, and he said, allow me to go back to the mountains and develop my skills. And the king said, no, that's fine. You should come. You will develop those skills and you can come back. You just come for a meal regularly. So this king was an exemplary person who was able to tolerate this experience. That shows, that's just one example. And no matter how far developed your mind is, just one scene can bring you down with so just to let go of raga, lust, like um, jinna tachang, the decayed skin, old puranam, the urago, letting go of the old skin, should be like that. Let's go on. Now this is vita doso, um, so hate free, becoming free of anger. So he who neither goes too far nor lags behind, hate free, he knows this is all unreal. Such a monk gives up the here and the beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. Now let's go further. Now this is about Vita Moho, delusion free, same words. Now this is different. Yassanusaya nasanti kechi mula cha akusala samuhata so bhikkhu jati or parang urago jinnamivatta chang puranang. He who has no dormant tendencies whatever, whose unwholesome roots have been expunged. Such a monk gives up the here and the beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. Now, this is about dormant, or as they also say, as underlying tendencies. You have strong defilements when they have been subdued or somewhat eradicated. You also have underlying tendencies towards greed, hatred, and delusion. This begins with just liking something. It doesn't have to be a strong attachment. That liking, appreciating something as beautiful, subha, that is the root of starting whole chaos of your mind. So this is the nature of anusaya. Yassa anusaya na santi kechi. If you don't have any underlying tendencies, mula takusala, whatever the unwholesome roots, these are greed, hatred, and delusion, these roots that we discussed earlier. Samuhatase, you have expunged them, completely destroyed them, pulled them out. This is a hard thing to do, like you need so much effort. Making birya is important in doing that. And that is like snake shedding its worn out skin. Move on. Yassa daratha na santi kechi orang agamanaya pachayase so bhikkhu jati or parang urago jinna mivatta chang puranang. Yassa daratha na santi kechi. States born of anxiety. Daratha ja, born of anxiety. Orang agamanaya pachayase. He harbors none. He does not step into that kind of a chore because which may condition his return to earth because there is a coming back if you step into this any state, any greed, any hatred, any delusion, any place where there is a tendency for you to continue liking that state. And this has been let go of, just as a snake shedding its old skin. Yassa vanathajan santi kechi vinibandhaya bhavaya hetu kappa so bhikkhu jahati or parang urago jinna nivatta chang puranang. States born of attachment, vanatha ja. So ja here means something being born. So vataja is something born from air. States born of attachment, he harbors none, nasanti kechi, which cause his bondage to existence, vinibandhaya. Bandhati, like bandhu is relative. Bonding, you are bonded with your relatives. So, bhavaya hetu kappa. Bhava is existence. Hetu kappa, appropriate for causes for existence. Any attachment, any state. any of the 5 hindrances. They hinder your path. And because of that, such a monk, because that kind of attachment brings you to existence, to bondage, you give up those things like a snake shedding its old skin. Now the last one. Yo nivarane pahaya pancha anigho tinna kathan kato visallo so bhikkhu jahati or parang urago jinna mivatta chang puranang. He who has the 5 hindrances discarded, pahaya, discarded, the 5 hindrances discarded. Anigho tin katankato. Katankata here refers to doubts. So tin meaning you have crossed over. Anigho, there's no anger. Visallo, visalla is a kind of, there's a word for that, like an impulsion. Doubt-free and serene and free of inner barbs. Such a monk gives up the here and the beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn-out skin. You may feel like this sutra is small, but it teaches for someone who is sitting in a position to understand it, teaching a whole lot of things. It's putting tons of messages into your mind, just like a snake shedding its old skin. Wherever you are in terms of your attachments, whether it is 5 hindrances or the 3 akusala mulas, let them go as quickly as possible, just like a snake shedding its old skin. And it has a beautiful rhythm, and this is something that someone would even memorize in Pali or in English, reminding you completely, like, don't go beyond, don't go back, don't look back. You are not going that way. This is the way forward. Be free from these things. You have repeatedly done this again and again within this life, but that is not the way. The way out is being free from these things. So we have brought the sutra to an end. Now we are reaching to the question and answers time. Who is here for questions? With questions. Come on, take some time. Engage in discussion. Glad to see some some faces that we didn't see in a while. Okay, no questions. So have a great rest of the week, and let's meet again by next Monday. Our Saturday meditation happens regularly. We are not sending out any emails for that. And you are free to join Saturday morning at 8:30 in the morning. Via Zoom, just like this, and we will do our guided meditation and a little discussion, not about the sutra. Thank you very much. I'm grateful for your presence, and the temple stays running smoothly, and people bring food, but to the doorstep, they don't really walk into the kitchen. And we are grateful for that kind support, generosity. So stay safe and stay healthy. Hopefully one day soon we will meet as a group at the Fonseca Community Center or here for our discussions.
Thank you so much, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Everyone,
night.
sir. Nice, sir.
Tiruvan
Sure.
Sarnai. Is it snowing in Winnipeg?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So you are sending a little bit here. So we are also having some showers today. Okay, take care.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Dylan.